us in here to get started. It is 4 minutes past the time, and I want to make sure that I can keep us on schedule tonight. But I want to say to all of you, good evening and welcome to the Hub. Thank you so much for attending this evening. I'm so grateful that you are here to support the community and our featured guest tonight. Some of you were actually here on Tuesday for Women of Faith and Purpose Night as Dr. Brandy shared her story and journey. So thank you for coming back again. And if you were not able to make it on Tuesday, check out the recording. It's in the hub under the space event recordings. I promise you will be blessed real good. So if this is your first time in the hub, I want you to type in the chat first timer. I want to see who we have in here for the first time in the hub. Okay, great. Awesome. So we've got some folks in here. So you all bear with me for just a second while we share with the folks who are new in the hub. So again, if this is your first time, type in that chat first timer. I want to know who you are. I'm Kim Evans, founder and CEO of Just Your Rideshare. We are a women-centric rideshare company and the community platform, Just Her Hub, which is just an extension of the rideshare because we wanted to be more than a ride to the airport. We wanted to build community with our customers and our drivers. And of course, our mission in the hub is just to protect women, connect women in proximity, to protect their movement and empower powerful relationships that drive impact beyond the ride. I wanted to cultivate this community for women, you, who would be willing to commit to lifting one another higher and changing the landscape for women. And it is our sacred place. I remember saying the other night, for those of you who were here, that when we think of the power that we have as women, our spending power, our decision making in the homes, our communities, on our jobs, and in business, I have found personally that not all women will answer this call, but there is a remnant, right? There are some of us that understand collaboration over competition, and it will create spaces and open gateways and change the game that will make us unstoppable together. I responded to a post on LinkedIn this week and challenged us to redefine what social and human capital looks like. Out of Seneca, likely will touch on some of this evening, but I found personally that it's not just having access to a room or a table, but it's proximity and relationships. And that's what we're trying to do here for you. So I have one of the questions for those of you. Okay, so first time to the hub, but is it your first time to a Thursday night girl? Let's talk. I want you to type in the chat first timer as well, because we're doing something a little different with tonight's event, but it is certainly suitable. Typically, we come together to open our hearts and we share personal struggles. We get as raw as you want to, because it is a safe place and it is a sacred place. It is not recorded, which is why I couldn't get the recording going this evening, because we do not record. And I found out from our platform that once you start a live event, you cannot record. It's also a place where we don't just throw out advice, but we offer shared experiences. In other words, it's not about what you should do about your struggle, your situation, but it's about what I did when I was faced with something similar, right? So, because we never know what, a person knows, who they talk to, what they tried. And so sometimes just telling people what they should do doesn't land very well versus here's what I did. So we are handling each other with care on Thursday nights with Girl Let's Talk. Many of you know my struggles, of course, and there are times when I can hear mine, and I do have the capacity to hear yours as well. So we're here for you. And we encourage you. I can encourage you. I can pray with you. And so we're here for you. So meet us in the hub on Thursdays, and girl, let's talk. Let's talk about it. Download the Circle app, and so it's easy to get like notifications and updates, and make sure that you're taking advantage of the community spaces. Share your wins and inspire other women. Get to know each other. Check out the calendar event, and then give us some feedback. Let us know how we can serve you And lastly, if you are interested in hosting an evening, we want to offer this platform to you. It can be an evening that we already host, and we host several events, authors night, poetry, reading, or it can be something that you want to share. Now, remember I said earlier that it is a sacred place. And so we want to protect you in the space. So you got to come correct. If you're coming to the community of women, we come with integrity, we come with empathy, we come with understanding. But this is for you. Listen, this community wasn't designed for me to come in week after week and be the only one talking. And God knows, y'all know I can talk. But I am also trying to scale a company as well and going through so many challenges. So this is for you too. And I want you to know that. So, with that being said and getting that out of the way, I am so excited to introduce our guest tonight, Seneca Dunmore. Seneca and I have been connected for several years. Seneca, I don't even know when we met, but here's what I do know, or here's what I do remember. I remember what you had done for me. I remember you giving me access to some tables and some rooms that I know I would not have access to, some of the most lavish private events and dinners with moguls and millionaires. So I want to take a moment to publicly thank you for not only teaching others how to get access granted, but also walking the walk. And so, guys, Seneca is coined the pint-sized powerhouse. That's how I first met her, right? For her magnetic energy, unrelenting tenacity, and captivating storytelling abilities. She is an international speaker. She's a global philanthropist and the founder and CEO of Dunmore Capital Ventures, a capital advisory firm that connects founders and funders together. And as a kingdom financier, she teaches high impact professionals and enterprising business owners how to leverage social and intellectual capital to secure the financial capital they need and to grow and scale their business using biblical principles. That's what's important. She's got over 10 years of experience in corporate contract negotiation and a master's degree in information technology. So then I have successfully negotiated multi-million dollar tech contracts for some of the world's largest Fortune 500 firms. And now she's fully immersed in entrepreneurship as she's growing her business. She dedicates herself to teaching faith-driven strategies. And this is what I love about her. She is not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ that empowers individuals to maximize profits, minimize taxes and liability, protect their assets, and build generational wealth. To date, Dunmore Capital Ventures has successfully secured $7 million in funding for its clients. Now, lastly, as I bring Seneca out, and we'll give her a virtual warm welcome. The reason that I do read the bios of these women, these very accomplished women that come in, is because you never know. Somebody may have some experience and expertise of something that you are looking for. So thank you for being patient as we pay homage and give honor to whom honor is due. So without further ado, Seneca, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. So, listen, so I'm very much, I like dialogue. I don't like monologue, right? So, as much as I'm going to be talking, I want you to be thinking of questions that you want to ask me and fire away, right? And you don't have to just drop those questions in the chat. You can come off mute, right? And ask your question, okay? Because I want to make sure that this is a dialogue, that if there's something that you need clarification on, or you want me to go more in depth or anything like that, I like to talk it out versus just reading the comments and things like that. So, as Kim says, I am born and raised here in Houston, Texas. I'm actually in Texas right now, and I grew up in a very marginalized and economically disenfranchised community. Right, so drugs were running rampant in our community. Crime was kind of just par for the course. And what I realized is that if I wanted to create a very different life, a life that, looked very different than Sunnyside, the neighborhood that I grew up in, that I was going to have to leave. I was going to have to get out of Sunnyside because that environment did not have the capacity, right, to give me what it was that I was looking for. And so I ended up getting a scholarship to Tuskegee University. I graduated number 7 out of 400 plus students in my high school graduating class. I got a scholarship to Tuskegee University. And it was there that I realized I was able to look back and realize that Sunnyside was not a bad neighborhood. Again, Sunnyside was an economically disenfranchised and marginalized community. And so y'all remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Huh?
At
Yeah.
the very base level, you had those physiological needs. And then at the top of the pyramid, you had self-actualization. Well, you can't talk to somebody about self-actualization when they just trying to figure out how they're gonna eat today, right? When they're just trying to figure out how they're gonna cover physiological needs, food, water, shelter, sleep, right? And so I realized that's what was going on in my community. We were barely making it above those physiological needs. So we couldn't even think, 10 years ahead, 5 years ahead. Most of us couldn't think a month in advance because we just didn't have the bandwidth. We didn't have the resources that we really needed to create a better life for ourselves, right? And so that's why I got out of Sunnyside. And so um, I ended up getting a bachelor's in biology and pre-medical sciences. I worked in a couple of labs, realized that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I ended up going back to school, getting my master's in information systems. 2 months after graduation, I moved up to New York, worked for an amazing company there. Then I moved to DC. And I was kind of thrown into contract negotiation and business development, which was probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. I didn't see it, and back then, but I learned how to negotiate. The dog is like wants to be in the camera. I learned how to negotiate. I learned how to really, as Kim said, leverage social and intellectual capital. And for those of you who are like, what is social and intellectual capital? Social capital is all about who you know and who knows you, right? That's the social capital. The intellectual capital is all about what they know, right? And so one of the things that I talk to my clients about is that you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything. You just need to be in proximity to the people who know a little bit more than you do, right? You need to be in proximity to the people who have a few more resources than you do. And so, ended up leaving my good corporate job back in October 2014, starting my own motivational speaking business in May of 2015. And by 2016, I was doing my first international speaking engagement in South Africa. So been a full-time entrepreneur for the past 11 years. It has been a labor of love. It's been an incredible journey. And when Kim and I met was back in 2022. And that was when I was just leaving Houston and moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. So I was coming out to Charlotte to do my very first Access Granted conference. And so I decided my Access Granted conference to basically equip small business owners and entrepreneurs, mostly undercapitalized, small business owners and entrepreneurs with number one, the financial education, because most of us didn't learn anything about how to manage finances, how to build generational wealth or anything like that. I don't know about y'all. I know I didn't grow up with that. So please raise your hand if you did. I would love to see. And then the next thing we do is we teach about capacity building, how to build your capacity for funding, right? How to get into the right rooms, how to cultivate the right relationships, and how to get in front of the right resources. And last but not least, the resources. Here's what I want you guys to understand. There is no lack of resources out here. And many times there's a lack of resourcefulness, meaning we don't know how to go after the resources. We're not in the right rooms. We're not talking to the right people. And so I always tell people a lot of times when we're frustrated when it comes to funding is because we're talking to the people who signed the back of the check, not the front. Right? So you got to learn how to get in front of those people and learn what those individuals are, right? The individuals who sign the front of the check, not just the back. So anyway, so that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. We're getting ready to come up on my next conference in September, and I'm really looking forward to it. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was leverage over labor. I wrote a post yesterday. I don't know if anybody had a chance to see it, but I was talking to a girlfriend of mine recently. It was supposed to be a business call, right? She wanted to get on my calendar to have a business call. And it was one of those divinely inspired moments where God was really using me to minister. It wasn't really about business at all, right? So here I have a girlfriend who she's having a really hard time. Her mother has dementia, and her mother just broke her hip, and now and she's an only child, so she's having to care for her mother who's suffering with dementia and has this broken hip, and then somehow that became a serious infection. So my girl is just stressed to the max, right? On top of She just left her corporate job. She's trying this entrepreneurial thing. She's having a hard time with that. So she just feels like the weight of the world is kind of falling on her. And I told her, I said, you got to learn how to ask for help. One thing that I've learned is that too many times, especially in communities of color, Black women are conditioned and socialized to carry it all. We are indoctrinated to believe that we've got to be all things to all people. We've got to take care of the husband. We got to take care of the kids. We got to run the household. We got to hold down a job. We got to cook, clean, serve, work in the church, all of those different things. And again, that's not a bad thing. However, there does come a time where you kind of reach your capacity. There does come a time when you need someone else to step in and help you. And what I want women to understand is that, was it, so you're just going to call us out like that? That's right. Listen, Denise, I had to call my sister out because I said, sis, you got to learn how to ask for help, right? When the Bible talks about we have not because we ask not, that's a very real thing. And the reason why we don't ask, Denise, is because we don't want to feel like a burden to people. We don't want to feel like, you know, we don't want people to feel uncomfortable or feel like we're doing too much or asking too much. And listen, here's what I understand. The Bible tells us in Galatians that we need to carry the burdens of other people. That means you too. That means somebody out there is designed to carry some of your burdens as well. Okay? And I want you guys to get comfortable resting in your femininity. I want you, God calls us to rest, right? God calls us to rest. And it's so to be vulnerable. Listen, y'all know when the Bible talks about the weaker vessel, when it calls the woman the weaker vessel, that word weaker means delicate. Was that? Oh, okay. So that word weaker means delicate. It means that sometimes we need to be handled with a certain level of care and consideration as women. Because again, a lot of us are carrying more than we need to. And so we need to learn how to ask people to step in and help us and not feel like we're being a burden, not feel like we have to carry everything. I tell people, it's okay to tell people, hey, listen, I just don't have the capacity for that right now. Hey, listen, I could, but right now I'm overextended. So I wish I could help, but I can't. Okay. Listen, I don't have the bandwidth. Some people are going to be disappointed. It's okay. I promise you, they're not going to die. Okay. They will learn to get over it. And so boundaries, I so struggle with that. Okay. Yeah. And again, listen, most of us struggle with that. Because we've been raised to believe that, hey, we need to step in. We've got to be strong for everybody. We've got to be the backbone. We've got to be, and that's not a bad thing, but it has also been detrimental to a lot of us in our communities. Because as we know, Black women have suffered with heart disease and a lot of autoimmune diseases and things like that that are directly tied to stress. And that stress is affecting our bodies in a negative way, right? Yes, it takes a toll on you. Absolutely. And so it's okay to say no. It's okay to rest and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, hey, listen, tell people, write a list of everything that you need. I don't care whether that's monetary, spiritual, emotional needs, intellectual needs, social needs, whatever it is that you need, write it down. And then on the other side of that piece of paper, write down the people you can solicit for that help. Because a lot of times we don't speak and then we train people not to help us. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I told one of my girlfriends, every time somebody asks, to take something off your plate or whatever, oh no, I got it. Good. Somebody offers to pay for your coffee, somebody offers to pay for your meal. Good. I got someone, girl, I'm good. See, you do that 5, 10, 15 times, and then guess what? People, what they do, they back off. So now when they see you really need the help, they like, oh, they sitting back. They gonna watch you struggle. They gonna sit and watch you struggle and watch you carry it all because guess what? You've trained them not to help you because you've said no so many times that they like, you know what? I'm tired of asking, so I'm gonna let her have it. Okay? So we've got to get in the habit of allowing people to help us. I was telling a funny story the other day. I said I like honey, y'all. I don't know why I got a thing for honey. So I had a little jar of honey in my bag, right? And so it got outside, my hands are all slippery. I couldn't get a tight grip on the lid of the jar to open up this honey. So in walks this good-looking man. I mean, he got muscles and tattoos for days, right? And so he's sitting about 10 feet from me. So what did I do? Got up, I walked over to his table in my nice little Betty Boop voice. I said, "Excuse me, sir. Could you open up this jar for me?" And I mean, he, his chest all puffed out, muscles flexing. He's like, "Oh, yes, ma'am, I can." Right? Now, I spent the next 10 minutes trying to open up that jar of honey, or I could have simply just asked this nice man with all these muscles that he ain't doing nothing with right now to open up that jar of honey. Okay. I want you to get in the habit of allowing people to bless you, allowing people to help you. This is what I said, and I would have been over this struggling. Listen, I trust me, I know. I see a lot of women doing it. I see a lot of women doing it, right? But I want you to understand it's okay. It's okay to allow people to step in and help you. So, like I said, sometimes we're going through a lot, the weight of the world. There's just a lot on our plates, and we need people to help us. So, y'all know, business is kind of my superpower. I love showing people how to leverage social and intellectual capital to secure the financial capital that they need to grow and scale their business. Here's some of the biggest issues that I'm seeing, right? Number one, um, we think it's supposed to be hard. We think it's supposed to be hard. Right? We've been taught that, oh, you gotta hustle, you gotta grind, you gotta get it out of the mud. Why can't I get it out of the market? Why must I get it out of the mud? We think that building wealth and building a business and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, it comes with its challenges. But sometimes we make things harder on ourselves than they have to be. She said, I just threw my shoe at the phone. Let me tell you what I mean by that. In Proverbs 23:4, it says, do not wear yourself out trying to get rich.
That's right. That's right.
But let me tell you this, it didn't say don't get rich. It said don't wear yourself out trying to do it. Okay. God says, beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers, right? Part of prosperity is succeeding financially. God says, I delight in the prosperity of my servant.
Yes.
Here we go again. A lot of times we think it's supposed to be hard. We think if it's not hard, we're not doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, I must be doing something wrong because this should be way harder than it is. I promise you, it doesn't have to be. When I got the very first investment for my Access Granted conference, and Kim has probably heard this story a million one times. I was literally sitting at a coffee house. I went to this coffee house like every single day, ordered the same chai latte, sat in the same seat with my same laptop and work, right? A gentleman passed by. He said, excuse me, I see you here all the time. What are you working on? I said, well, I just moved here to Charlotte. I'm working on my first Access Granted conference, and it's all about helping undercapitalized business owners get access to the capital they need. I'm going to be putting founders and funders in the same room together. He said, oh, I need to introduce you to my mentor. I said, well, who's your mentor? He said, oh, he's one of the small business banking managers for JP Morgan Chase. I was like, oh, I would love that. He said, hold on. He whips out his phone. He puts us on a group text. Guess what I did? Text that gentleman the same day. Okay? I said, listen, I met your mentee today at a coffee shop. He told me some great things about you. Listen, I'm working on a conference. I'd love to tell you more about it. Do you have time for lunch this week? He said, absolutely. Do you have time to meet Monday? I said, Monday it is. I put it on my calendar. I meet him at a restaurant in Uptown Charlotte. I tell him about the conference. We have a great lunch. 2 months later, he invites me to an invitation closed door session with JP Morgan Chase. 5 of their top directors were going to be in that room. So guess what I did? They published the list of the 5 directors who were going to be in that room. I went on LinkedIn. I sent each of them a friend request and introduced myself. I said, listen, I'm going to be one of the recipients, one of the small business owners in the meeting this week. I can't wait to meet you. So now when I walk into the room, who they looking for? They looking for me because I've already introduced myself to them via LinkedIn. So y'all, I'm walking there, I'm kissing hands, I'm shaking hands, kissing babies, introducing myself to everybody in the room, especially these directors. So when it came time for all of us to introduce ourselves, right, to everybody in the room, what I did was pitched how my organization could be of service to JP Morgan Chase Bank. Right? Because y'all remember it was 2022. We were just kind of coming out of the pandemic. And so JP Morgan had made a global commitment to invest $5 billion with Black, Latina, and women-owned businesses. So when I pitched them, I said, listen, I read an article about you guys lately. I see you guys have made a global commitment to, deploy $5 billion to Black, Latina, and women-owned businesses. Curious, how do you plan to deploy those funds? And so they said, well, Ms. Dunmore, we haven't quite come up with a plan yet. Ding, ding, ding. I gave them one. I was already working on my conference. I was already looking for sponsorship. Well, what is your biggest problem? They said, well, we're having a hard time finding the recipients that we can give these small business loans to because enough of people are not applying. I said, wow, that's interesting because I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs who are looking for capital investments. Ain't that something? Y'all, that meeting happened at 1 o'clock. By 8 p.m., I was sitting at Carolina Oyster Bar, right? Drinking an old fashioned and having some raw oysters. When the gentleman who invited me into that room texts me and says, Seneca, they're ready to make an investment into your conference. What's your W-9? Send me your W-9 form. A week later, I had a meeting with one of those directors, the lady who signed the front of the check. And y'all, Lisa, let me tell you, stayed up all night thinking about what this lady was gonna ask me. I'm getting together all my forms and documentation. I'm writing out all my questions and answering them because I just want to be prepared. Y'all know what she asked me in that meeting? She asked me to send them an invoice. She didn't ask me for a tax return. She didn't ask me for my balance sheet. She didn't ask me for my profit and loss statements. She thanked me for being so bold in that room and for asking for the money. She said, well, Seneca, we would love to support this. Can you send us an invoice today? I sure can. Sent that invoice at 2 p.m. That invoice was paid by the next day at 12 p.m. Less than 24 hours, that money was in my business banking account. In less than 24 hours, I got the #1 bank in the United States to sponsor my Access Granted conference. And check this out. I had never done a conference before. I didn't have any social proof. I didn't have any testimonials. I had a vision. And before I walked in that room, I said, Lord, if this is your vision for me, I need the provision. I said, Lord, if this is your will, it's your bill. Because I ain't got it. And guess what God did? He showed up in that moment. He put me in the right room with the right people who had the resources. And they were ready to invest. Here's what I want to remind you, lady. I didn't have to hustle. I didn't have to grind. I didn't have to get it out of the mud. All I had to do was position myself, right? Get into the right rooms, let them know what I was offering, and ask for the money. Do y'all know there was 8, 9 other business owners in that room and didn't nobody ask for money but me? How are we sitting in the room with the number one bank in the United States? They have assets in excess of like $3 trillion and nobody asks for money. And because nobody else asked for money, nobody else got money. Right? So again, guys, I want y'all to be bold enough to act. The Bible says the righteous are as bold as lions. Guess what? The worst they could have told me is what? No. Hey, you have not because you act not. And if they had told me no, that would have been my first time hearing no. There were 50 banks before them that slammed the door in my face, but it didn't matter because all you need is one.
That's right.
Sometimes all you need is one. Okay? So again, ladies, I want y'all to understand that you don't have to hustle, you don't have to grind. I want you to understand that sometimes all it takes is getting in the right rooms, cultivating the right relationships with the people who have access to the resources. The reason why we get frustrated a lot of times is because we're in circles and we're talking to people who don't have the resources.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you mad and you frustrated, like, oh man, why can't nobody? They don't have it. And so sometimes that means getting out of your comfort zone, right? Getting into rooms that are very unfamiliar to you.
Yeah.
Y'all remember when God told Abraham, hey, listen, I need you to leave your country, right? Get away from your daddy, get away from everything that's familiar to you, and I need you to go. Guess what? He didn't even tell him where he was going. He just told him, I need you to go. I'll give you the rest of the information once you get there. So I feel like in this moment, God is telling some of you ladies, listen, I'm going to give you the provision, but it's going to take you walking. It's going to take you putting yourself in motion. It's going to take you getting out of your own way, right? Just start making progress. Just start walking. Because a lot of y'all, you don't want to move until you have all the pieces to the puzzle figured out. You're like, okay, once I got it all figured out, then I'll make a move. God is saying, once you make a move, I'll help you figure it out. Y'all see the difference? Denise said, I'm all in her business. Listen, that's what I'm here to do. Okay? So that's the first thing, guys. It does not have to be hard. Second thing, and if you have any questions, come off mute. I'm happy to answer any questions before we go to the second thing. Any comments, concerns, questions, you're more than welcome to come off mute before I start the second thing. Anybody? All right, we'll move on to the second thing. Second thing, here's what I want you to understand. How many of you know how Rolls-Royce sell its cars? Anybody? You can drop it in the chat or you can come off mute. How does Rolls-Royce sell its cars?
And then people order.
What type of advertising?
Now that I can't remember, but I read it somewhere, Seneca.
This is a dialogue. I'm glad you were bold enough to come off mute. So now let me tell you, right?
They do it personal. They do it personally. They have a process where they do it.
You
like
getting
commission.
get
Word
getting
word of mouth. Word of mouth. I mean,
Or
Y'all
I would
get-
say, yeah, like something like luxury advertisement or something like that.
let me tell you this, right? Rolls-Royce made $28 billion in 2025. They don't market to the masses, right? They don't put any billboards out there on
Right.
the highway. They don't put any ads on social media. They don't market in magazines and things like that. Let me tell you how they market their cars. They put their Rolls Royce next to private jets, Boeing private jets at aviation events and air shows. So here it is. You got the BBJ 777, which is one of Boeing's luxury jets, right? Right next to it, you have the Rolls Royce. Why do you think they do that?
Because they're looking for specific markets. They're
Yeah,
targeting their market.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
They're looking for a specific market, right? They know that the people who, y'all,
because they can
PJ
afford it.
is a private jet. Exactly. It costs
Mhm.
$1 billion. This jet costs $500 million.
Right.
They know the people who can afford a $500 million jet can also afford a $500 million car.
Right.
So what they do is they put their product in proximity to their target market. These are the people who can already afford their car. So they don't waste time or money trying to get the attention of people who can't afford their products. They have a very niche clientele, right? And that's why they partner with Boeing, because Boeing already has direct access to their ideal clients. Their ideal clients ain't eating at buffets, right? They're at Michelin star restaurants. They're in exclusive rooms. They're in private events. They're in referral networks. They're in family offices. They're in country clubs. They're in yacht clubs. They're in polo clubs. They're in invitation only markets. They don't mass market because the mass is not their market. They use highly targeted invitation only unveiling, digital live streams, exclusive showcases, luxury events, because again, they have a very niche market. Now, let me ask y'all a question. How many of you have been invited to an invitation only release of a private jet from Boeing?
Never.
Never, right? And this is what I want you to understand. There's two types of knowledge. You have tribal knowledge and you have traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge is what we've learned in school, right? Reading, writing, arithmetic. How many of y'all have used a quadratic equation or the Pythagorean theorem? I'll wait, right? I have yet to use a quadratic equation. And I mean, I took calculus 1 and 2, I took algebra 1 and 2, I took trigonometry, elementary analysis, all of them. Probably ain't used 99.9% of that stuff, right? That's traditional knowledge. What these ultra wealthy individuals know, they have what you call tribal knowledge. Tribal knowledge is not public. That means the only way to access this information is you got to be in the right rooms, you got to be connected to the right people, right? You got to be in the right community. So a lot of times we're trying to get somewhere, right? In our business or whatever the case may be, and we're having a hard time because guess what? We're playing two different games. The 99% are playing one game. The top 1%, they're playing a completely different game by a completely different set of rules. And in order for you to, access that information, you've got to be in those rooms. You've got to know those people. Okay? That's what tribal knowledge is all about. And so this is what I tell people. There's certain information that you trying to Google, you trying to YouTube it. Because most people think, oh, if I can just chat GPT it, find it on Google, I can just read another business book or, investor book. I'm pretty sure that information is in there. I challenge you to find it. It ain't there. Okay? Because again, it's tribal knowledge. If you're not in the tribe, you don't know this information. Hold on one second, guys. So, yes. So, tribal knowledge is very different than traditional knowledge. And what I want us to start doing in this season is start getting in different rooms where we can start getting some of that tribal knowledge. So let me tell y'all what I learned recently. And I actually just talked about this today in a video. So I met up with one of the private bankers in my network, right? He works for JP Morgan Chase. He manages portfolios of 5 million plus. He don't touch anything under 5 million. So he's telling me, he was just like, well, I said, wow, $5 million, that's a lot of money to have in the bank. He said, Seneca, they don't put this money in the bank. I was like, what do you mean? I said, where do they put it? He said, well, they put their money in appreciating assets, right? Income generating, appreciating assets. I was like, well, give me some examples. He was like, like real estate, art, stock, and life insurance. I was like, wait a minute, life insurance? He was like, oh, absolutely. He was like, banks have what they call BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, right? So even on their top executives, they take out life insurance on those individuals, and that's a part of their wealth building strategy, y'all.
Yeah.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. He was like, no. He was like, the cash value that's accumulated in those policies, he said, we can use that money to pay their bonuses. So check this out. They're not even using the money, right, that they're getting, the revenue that they're generating to pay these bonuses. They're using their own policy. How many of y'all knew that?
Nope. But thank you.
Right? Most of us don't know that information.
I learned that when I got my life insurance license.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And you see, it's one of those things. You rarely know this information. When I grew up, life insurance was all about debt.
Yes.
And nobody told me about permanent whole life insurance and how there's cash value and you can borrow against that. And because you borrow against it, it's not taxed, right? All these things that the ultra wealthy know that we were never taught.
That's why it's
Yeah.
called life insurance and not death insurance.
That's right. It's for the living.
It's for the living. But if you don't know that information, right? So many of us, we don't know that information. And so I told people, I said, listen, I don't want to see another GoFundMe or somebody having another fish fry to bury their grandmama. We got to get out here and learn this tribal knowledge, get this information so that we can die with dignity and learn how to leverage these financial resources while we're living. And that, y'all, and that's across the spectrum. I'm just giving life insurance as, as an example, but I'm talking about across the board.
Yeah.
So again, as I've been doing business, I've learned that there's a ton of stuff that I didn't know. And it wasn't until I started getting in these high net worth rooms that I started learning this information. Because again, I was in communities where we all in the same boat.
Yeah.
There's a line that Jay-Z says that I absolutely love. He says, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. Right?
That's right.
I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So so he said, I got rich and gave back. That's the real win-win.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to do a lot of times. We've got to put ourselves in a better position so that we can now go back and help our communities. We can now go back and help our families. But a lot of times we're not in position because we can't even help ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay? And I want to make sure that I'm putting as many people in a position to help themselves. Any questions so far? Any questions, comments? All right, we'll keep going. Another thing I want you ladies to understand, in this season, it's not about resumes, it's about relationships. It's not about your resume, it's about your relationship. Y'all remember last year, 300,000 Black women were fired and furloughed from their federal jobs. Okay, Denise says I'm a witness. What was anybody a part of that 300,000? 300,000 Black women were fired from their jobs last year. That number has since doubled in 2026.
Yes.
And we ain't even seen the worst of it yet. I don't think. Right? And a lot of times we think, because again, this is how we've been indoctrinated to believe. Like, oh, I got to go get another degree. I got to get some more certifications. I got to go get more training. And now don't get me wrong, those things are great. I told you I have a bachelor's and master's. I'm working on my doctorate. Those things are great. But when I tell you, none of that is the reason why I've been able to get in these rooms. None of that was the reason why I got my very first investment from JP Morgan Chase. None of that was the reason why I got the first $25,000 investment from an angel investor. None of that. The reason why I was able to secure those investments and get in these right rooms had everything to do with my relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys have heard it before, right? People do business with people they what? Know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
If they don't know you, they can't cash flow you. And so we think, oh, if I just go back to school, if I get another degree, if I get more education, if I do this, if I just work harder, and it's not about that. If you don't have the relationships, it does not matter. Trust me when I tell you this. I told somebody, I said, listen, if I knew then what I know now, if somebody had asked me, Seneca, would you like to go get another degree or would you like a great mentor who can show you how to build generational wealth? I would have chose the mentor all day long. That's right. Shauna says, yep, my cousin lost her job, but her new job was through a relationship. Relationships get you in the room. That's exactly
That's it.
right. Yeah, the mentor. I would have chose the mentor long time ago. Because let me tell you, I have a financial mentor. We meet once a week. All we talk about is finances, investing in the stock market, all those different things. He's a 67-year-old white man. He been filthy rich all his life, right? He comes from wealth. He's been wealthy all his life. He don't even know what lack look like. What I learned from him in a 2-3 hour span is more than I've learned in a semester in college. He has so much tribal knowledge, so much knowledge about finances and building wealth and all that. It's unreal. And the reason being is because that's all he knows, right? He came up in wealth. He has all the tribal knowledge. And so he sits down with me every week and he's just transferring that knowledge right on over to me. And I don't care what I got going. I show up every week because I know if he's willing to invest that type of time with me,
Yes.
the least I could do is show up. Because one thing I've learned, if I haven't learned nothing else throughout this whole process, we don't value free.
Mm.
You put a price tag on it, oh, all of a sudden it's got value, but a lot of times we don't value free.
Yeah.
Okay? So again, you got to be in the right rooms. You got to have the right relationships. How many of you, drop in the chat, how many of you are on LinkedIn? How many of you are active on LinkedIn? I'm on it, not active as I could be. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, on it, not active. Me, not like I need to be. Okay. I'm on it, but not active. Okay. Okay. Lisa, on it, not active. Okay. Here's what I want y'all. Get active on it. It is one of the best tools that I've found. And here's the thing. I want to debunk the myth because most people think, when LinkedIn started years ago, it was all about recruiters finding people to put into these jobs. It's not like that anymore. And don't get me wrong, you still have a lot of recruiters on there actively recruiting and trying to find the right people to plug into jobs. Now it's more about the relationships. Probably 80% of the investors that I've invited to my conferences and masterclass I found through LinkedIn. The other 20% came through personal referrals and relationships. Some of my biggest contracts have come through LinkedIn. Some of my biggest endorsements, some of my best relationships. It is an amazing tool. So I want y'all to be very strategic in this next season about really getting on it and learning how it works. And just so you know, I do have a class, right, of a digital course, right, called Monetize LinkedIn. I'm going to send that over to Kim, and Kim can get it to you guys. So if you want to learn how to use LinkedIn effectively, go through my little course. Absolutely free, right? But it will show you how to set up your LinkedIn and how to really monetize it. You're welcome. No problem. And let me tell y'all, when I taught that course on LinkedIn, y'all know where most of my money came from? International clients. So again, y'all, remember, most of the people on LinkedIn are not in the United States. Most of them are international. Did y'all know that? So you don't have to just be making money here in the United States. Okay, exactly. You can be doing business with people across the pond, right? My furthest client is in Australia, right? I have a client in Australia. I've got a client in Canada. I've got a couple of clients in West Africa. I've got a client in Paris. And guess what? A lot of those, they came through LinkedIn because it's a global platform. So don't just limit yourself, right? You got to remember, y'all, the United States is only 5% of the world population. Just percent. That's it. That means 95% of your market is out there, international. Okay? I want to add, let me hear from some of the ladies. What is it that you do, right? I want to know if you're an entrepreneur or if you're working in a corporate job or you work in nonprofit. You're more than welcome to come off mute and let me know. Anybody want to go first?
I can go first. It's Miss Seneca.
Hey, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. I'm in school to get my master's in social work.
Okay.
I already have a master's in criminal justice.
Okay.
I'm a life insurance agent.
Okay.
I'm a notary, electronic notary, and just took a course for loan signing.
And what do you want to do with all that? Because, baby, you a Renaissance woman.
So I'm working this weekend on trying to put all of my services under my professional services name.
Okay.
So that's my goal this weekend to get that done.
Okay. And you said you have a LinkedIn, a personal page.
Yes, but I don't have all of that on that page. I have to update it.
Okay. Do you have a business page that's connected to your LinkedIn personal page?
That's what I'm working on this weekend.
Okay. Definitely want to do that. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Anybody else?
I'm against this corporate. This is Cotillion or Tilly. I work for Charlotte Ear, Nose, and Throat, and I also do gig work, which like just her. I drive. I do
Okay.
deliveries for a pharmacy. Just Mary Kay. I do a lot of side jobs too. To make
Okay.
ends meet.
Okay. I see a lot in the gig economy.
Yes.
Okay. That's what's up. Anybody else?
Good evening, Seneca. This is Regina. How are
Hi,
you?
Regina. I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am a professional network marketer.
Okay.
And I'm blessed to be part of a company whose founder and CEO looks like you and I. And he teaches the principles that you have so eloquently shared with us today. And
Thanks.
we have the opportunity to do that on a global platform. So I just
Okay.
want to say thank you for your energy. Thank you for your knowledge. And we need what you have. So thank you for being transparent.
Thank you. Let's provide that information. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Anybody else?
Hey, my name is Sean Rice.
Hey, Shauna.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
You are. You absolutely are. I have slightly a story, and it's kind of crazy. I think when you first came here, you reached out to me, and so my business is relationship management and relationship management. So
Right.
I speak and I host and then I teach all things networking to conflict resolution. Now, but, and that's what stuck out to me about number one. You said about being bold. When you reached out to me, I wasn't as bold. And so I didn't think I could help you. Needless to say, full circle moment, I was like, okay, now I'm getting the juice from her. So this is good. But that's what I do. I'm a caregiver also. So I'm kind of like coming out of what I would call a 3-year sabbatical almost, because I had to adjust back to, I had to let some things go because I take care of my dad. And then I host an event called We Meet, We Eat, and we do just that.
Okay.
It's a space for women to super connect, so to speak, and over food. Like I think we had the best conversations.
Oh, you still there, Shauna? Okay, maybe she'll come back. Okay, Lisa, you had a question. I see you raising your hand.
Were you talking about me, Aunt Kim?
No,
There
no,
we go.
no, no. My other friend, Lisa, you're on mute. Do you have a question? Your hand is raised. She might have raised it by mistake.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know. I didn't realize it was already 6:31. My goodness, that time flew by. But again, this has been amazing, ladies. However I can support you guys, let me know. I know the market is tough right now, but y'all hold on. Um, there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. Here's what I want y'all to understand: get in community, get in community, start collaborating, start partnering, start reaching out to people, letting them know what you need. Allow people to take some things off your plate. Because there's people out there. God has strategically placed certain people in your path to be destiny helpers, to take some things off your
Seneca.
to help you. What's that?
I said you better say
Y'all, I know it to be. Y'all, when I tell y'all, this season has been one of the most trying seasons for me, but it also has been one of the most blessed seasons. And I know it's nobody but God.
Oh,
And,
you
and
better
again,
say
a lot
it.
of times, we're standing in our way. Y'all, I'm just having a transparent moment. Hey, y'all, I had a warrant out for my arrest from a ticket from 2017. Have a squeaky clean driving record. I ain't never been involved in an accident. I had one speeding ticket from like 2017, going like 5-6 miles over the speed limit. It was something small, ridiculous. Over the time, right? That because I hadn't paid that ticket, right? Now I've accumulated all these fees, and now they got a warrant out for my arrest. Y'all, I was so afraid to just ask somebody for the help. So I'm hiding it, and I'm trying to be quiet about it, and people wondering why I don't have my driver's license, why I walk around with my passport everywhere. And y'all, guess what I did? Called my big sister. I said, Trey, hey, listen, I have a ticket from 2017 that I hadn't paid. I said, I just didn't know. I travel so much, I just didn't know. They sent information to my parents' house about the ticket. And she said, well, how much is it? So I told her the number. It was like, $600 and some dollar plus all these other administrative fees. And she said, oh, okay, well, how you want me to send it to you? Cash App or Zelle? Here it was, y'all. I had been stressing about it for months. Stressing about something that could have been handled. She said, as soon as before I hung up the phone, I heard my little ding go off to know that the Zelle was in my account. And then she gave me a little bit extra because she was just like, well, just in case some other things come up, I'm gonna just give you a little bit more than what you asked for. So that's the thing, y'all. And when I tell y'all, that has been happening to me all year. I just got back from Vegas on Sunday. Literally, I had somebody who paid for my meal every day. Oh, so out there, let me buy your lunch for you. Well, let me get your coffee. Oh, well, why don't you come with this private event with us tonight? Y'all, listen. God wants us to rest in our femininity. God wants us to be bold enough to act. And again, God wants us to use those destiny helpers who have been placed here on the earth to help us get to that next level. But again, we've got to be open. We got to open our mouths and be bold enough to ask and understand that you do not have to carry all this alone in this season. It's not for you. It's not for you to carry it all alone. Allow us to share in that burden with you. Okay? Any questions or comments before we go?
Well, Seneca, thank you so much for
My
Uh,
pleasure, Kim.
Yes, for coming to share your heart, to be transparent, and also to help us to understand how we can leverage over labor, because I think we are as women conditioned to think that we have to work hard at everything, or I got to be grinding, I just grinding, when I've learned in building businesses that it's really about leveraging your not only proximity, but also the relationships that are so important. And I think once we
Absolutely.
learn more of that as a community, and especially as a community of women, we will understand that a little more, and then it can take the pressure off of us. And this is even though Seneca talked a lot about business, because she and I are in business, and many of you are in business as well. But this applies in corporate, this applies in your personal life, like she said, with getting people to help you. If you are an entrepreneur and you are, helping a corporation grow through your creativity and expertise and all of that, there are still ways that you can leverage things like that. Like, for one, they can pay you for your ideas, and make sure that
Absolutely.
you are actually using that leverage to move up in corporate as well. So there are entrepreneurs and there are entrepreneurs as well. But anyway, Seneca, thank you so much. We are just a little over time. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out to come and share with us this evening. And we will post the recording in the hub in case you want to go back and listen to some of the other things that Seneca talked about. But I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful. I've seen your ups and downs. We've talked for hours about the struggles and
Yes.
things that we go through in building. And I've learned so much from you about not only access, but how to leverage what you get in the room. Because getting in the room is never a problem for me.
Exactly.
What you do in the room is different. And then also challenging us to redefine social and human capital, not just getting somebody through the door, but making sure that once they're in the door, that you're still there to help them, to guide them, to introduce people to them, and not just drop somebody off at an email, but follow through. I'm big on follow up and follow through. So thank you for what I've learned from you as well.
Absolutely.
So any other questions from anybody else? And we'll let Seneca have the last word.
Hey, Kim, it's the other Lisa.
Oh, hey,
There's a
Lisa,
lot
we
of
got
Lisa here.
a lot of Lisas on tonight.
Yeah, this is really, I guess, a simple, practical question I like to ask, and I've asked, I think, Kim this before. So Seneca, thank you for, first of all, you had so many nuggets. I normally am taking notes, but I'm multitasking, which is it leads to my question. How would you handle a day one if you had to start all over? If you have so many things going on, so many ideas, you're trying to hone in on one, without, I guess, sacrificing the other things that you want to do. You want to make sure, I guess, that you can get monetized on that idea, or I guess that thing that looks promising, but you're trying to stay, I guess, financially afloat. So you're doing all of the gigs that, everyone else talked about. How do you, I guess, quiet the noise and start from a day one perspective so that you're just not jumping into everything? If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is the thing. We talk about multiple streams of income all the time, and that's great, right? But what they don't tell you is that most people who got super wealthy, they started with one, not multiple. And so what I want you to do is focus in on that one thing that brings you the most joy, that gives you the most leverage. Because once you have more focused energy, right, into that one thing, you'll see more results. You'll see that compound happening where you'll get to your destination much quicker than your focus being scattered among many things. So I always tell people it's great to have multiple streams of income once you have income in something. What we try to do is we got 5 things and we're trying to see which one of those things are going to hit. And so all of our focus is scattered among too many different things, and then nothing works. I would say find that one thing, put all your focus into that. And again, if the other things have to fall to the wayside, you can always pick them up at another time. But focus in on that one thing right now. And I know that's hard because it's just like, oh, but I do this well and I like doing this and I've been doing this for a long time. And this is, it's hard. But in order for you to really start moving some things in the right direction and seeing the fruit of your labor, you gotta get zoned in on one.
You do. And I agree with that because it's like chasing two rabbits and catching neither. And
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to scale businesses like that if you're not focused. If you're not focused on building, I mean, you can have thoughts about other things that you want to do that might complement that one thing, but you do have to get focused on that one thing and you've got to be committed to that because it can become very difficult. And it can also wear you out as well. When you're chasing like Lisa who talked about the two masters and all that. That's my niece. And she failed to mention that she's also a social worker, which is very, very stressful. And so
Yeah.
she's doing a lot and we're gonna have this conversation about focus, but I understand she's a grinder. She's like me, she's a hustler, so she's trying to get it done. But you really do, if you want to grow a company and scale a company, you really do have to focus. You got to focus on that one thing. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
so much.
here's
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, and Kim knows this too. I've been a hairstylist, self-employed for 30 years. I want to retire from that and get fully into like grief therapy, the trauma and grief space, which right now I'm doing a lot of volunteering just to get in some of the rooms, like you were saying. And sometimes I know you have to volunteer your time.
Mhm.
And I'm not really looking to monetize right now because it's my passion and I know I can't just jump out there, but I appreciate the advice because that is helpful. I know I got to focus.
Yeah. And I know we're about to go, but I just want to say this really quickly. Just because it's your passion does not mean you shouldn't be getting paid.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I hear a lot of Black women, right? Because we feel almost guilty for wanting someone to pay us because we're like, this just comes natural to me and this is just what I do. And, it comes easy. Listen, it's a gift. And God might be calling you to monetize that gift.
Mhm.
There's plenty of instances in the Bible where it's like, no, you need to be getting paid, right? Ministry requires money. Everything does, right? So just because it's something that you're good at, leverage it, make some money. Yeah, do a couple of free events and do a couple things volunteering, and then you get to a point where you step out there and put a price to it. When I first stepped out as a public speaker, my first speaking engagement, y'all, I had done like one free event. And then I got a call from Houston Community College. One of their speakers had to drop out. And guess what? They paid me $1,500 to speak for 20 minutes.
Mm.
I didn't have no big portfolio and all this other stuff. No, I was just ready. So you might be ready. You might have done enough volunteering. Now it's time to put some legs under it. It's time to put a proposal together. It's time to start negotiating your price and just be bold enough to ask. Trust me, everybody ain't broke. I promise you that. I promise you that. There's plenty of organizations and institutions out here who are ready to cut you a check.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I
You're welcome.
appreciate
You guys, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you guys because I want you all to come back as well. Because I could keep talking to Seneca all night. She is so full of knowledge. But thank you again, Seneca, for coming to share with us. Thank you all for coming, spending your evening. You could be doing anything else. So I'm grateful that you're here. And Seneca's in the community. She doesn't just talk the talk. She walks the walk. So she's in the community. You all get to know her. She is always open and willing to share. So, but anyway, you all have a wonderful evening. And I love you all. And thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Seneca. I appreciate you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you, Kim. Have a good night.
You too.